So yesterday during the live stream that I did, I talked about how the OHL trade freeze has been lifted. And a year ago, we had the Flint Firebirds. They opened up the trade window with a couple big trades with the Sudbury Wolves and the Kingston Frontenacs. Well, they did it again, this time doing a big trade with the Brantford Bulldogs. So it seems as though just to kick off the trade window, we need the Flint Firebirds to get it going, as they did this morning, sending Sam McCue and a 13th round pick in 2026 to the Brantford Bulldogs for 7 draft picks. What a splash it is. And of course, Sam McCue, an overager going into this season. He was drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs. He brings that scoring flair to this Bulldogs team, who, of course, will be missing Nick Lardis, who will be graduating unless the Chicago Blackhawks do the unthinkable and send him back to junior after putting up over 70 goals last season. But for the Brantford Bulldogs, I mentioned in the live stream as well, this is a team to watch for. They have a lot of draft capital. And with how they did last season, I would expect the Brantford Bulldogs to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference in the 25-26 season. And adding the likes of Sam McCue will go a long way. Now, he was sought after at the OHL trade deadline. He was playing with the Owen Sound Attack. And at that point in the regular season, 18 goals, 13 assists, 31 points, and 35 games of work. So some pretty decent numbers on an attack team at that point that was struggling to string some wins together. He goes to Flint, and there were some rumors at the time that he wouldn't report, but he did, and he made his impact. He made an impact. He scored 18 goals, 6 assists, 24 points in just 20 games, nearly a goal per game after he arrived in Flint, trying to make sure this Firebirds team would make the playoffs. And in the postseason, no points in 5 games, as the Flint Firebirds were knocked out by the Kitchener Rangers in 5 games. Now, McCue, he has the knack for scoring big goals. We'll see if he can get some scoring in the playoffs. No goals in his OHL career when it comes to the playoffs. That's during his time with Peterborough, Owen Sound, and Flint. And we'll see if that'll be any different playing with the Brantford Bulldogs. And I know there's been a lot of questions about the NCAA and players going to school next year, but Sam McCue has already appeared in a photo shoot on social media with the Brantford Bulldogs wearing the gold and yellow uniforms. So expect McCue to be a member of the Bulldogs, and I think he's going to be a big factor as the Brantford Bulldogs have some high expectations going into next season under new ownership. It was also announced this morning that interleague play between the OHL and the QMJHL will return in the 25-26 season. In the past, we've seen the Ottawa 67s and Gatineau Olympic battle it out. They're right across the Ottawa River, so not far to travel. But we're now learning that the Sudbury Wolves and Rouyn-Noranda Huskies, they will play 2 games during the regular season. And it's the first time since 2000 that we've seen the Wolves and Huskies face each other in a regular season game. And for the Ontario Hockey League, Commissioner Brian Crawford said they're excited to test out this pilot to see if maybe more interleague games could happen in the future. So something that maybe to keep an eye on. Of course, North Bay, a lot closer to Rouyn-Noranda than Sudbury. When you look at the distance, it's about a 4 hours drive between the Sudbury Community Arena and the home of the Huskies. Whereas for North Bay, that's a 3-hour commute. So interesting that they're picking those two to battle it out. I know that for the Sudbury Wolves, their season's adjusted a little bit more than North Bay. During the regular season, the Wolves only make 1 trip to Ottawa and Kingston due to distance, and they have 8 meetings with the Barrie Colts during the regular season. So with 2 games being played against the Quebec team, I wonder if maybe we'll see 6 games between Sudbury and Barrie this upcoming season. So I think this is very intriguing. It's kind of exciting. One question I have, though, there's a no fighting rule in the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League, whereas in the OHL, you're allowed up to 5 fights in the season. So I'm curious as to how the rules are going to play out. Will fighting be banned when the OHL and the Q teams face off against each other, or will that kind of be looked over when the games are in the OHL? So I think that's a very fascinating question to maybe find out the answer to. I don't have the answers at this point. It was just after I saw that thought came into my mind that there's different rules between the OHL and the QMJHL. But still, I think this is exciting. We'll see if maybe Val d'Or will be a team looked at as a team that could have some interleague play in the future. North Bay, not far from Rouyn-Noranda or Val-d'Or, so maybe they'll be included. So we'll have to wait and see, but still some interesting news from the OHL this morning. They also confirmed that the 2025-26 regular season schedule will be released on Monday, June 16th. So get ready to mark it on your calendars when your team's going to be back in action. And can't wait to get the 25-26 regular season underway. Now, yesterday I mentioned in the live stream how the Niagara IceDogs were on the verge of announcing their new general manager. And after I logged off the live stream, the IceDogs confirmed that Frank Evola will be the sixth general manager in IceDogs franchise history. Now, Evola coming over from the Windsor Spitfires, where he served as the director of scouting and hockey operations. And from everyone I've talked to, a lot of praise for what Evola has done with helping build the Windsor Spitfires along with Bill Bowler. So he's bringing that experience to Niagara. Next up is to decide on a head coach, because Ben Boudreau rather, let go along with his assistant coaches at the end of the regular season. So Evola's first job, find a head coach and prepare for the upcoming import draft, where there's 3 rounds of the CHL import draft starting this season. During the live stream as well, it was brought up that Brad Malone has been hired by the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins of the American Hockey League. So the head coach or interim head coach of the Oshawa Generals moving on to the American Hockey League. You'll remember that Brad Malone took over from O'Rourke midway through the regular season, as the Generals not too pleased with the goals against at that point in the regular season. So they wanted to change a direction. And for Malone, he was 23-11-3-1 as an interim head coach of the Oshawa Generals. And of course, they then marched to the OHL final, where they eventually lost in 5 games to the London Knights. So a promotion here for Malone. And, he made his presence known with this Oshawa Generals team, making the best of his situation. And all the best to Malone as he moves on to being an assistant in the American Hockey League. Now, there was also a signing announced today. The Brampton Steelheads have signed Lucas Johnson, a goaltender who played with the Chicago Reapers last season. He was actually the first goaltender drafted at the OHL priority selection. He went 39th overall, a pretty big goaltender. He's 6 foot. And for the Steelheads, they have a knack for finding good quality goaltenders in the first few rounds of the draft. You look back at Ryerson Leanders. He was a big pickup in 2022. And then 2023 had Jack Ivankovic. He was drafted in the first round, 7th overall. So this, with Ivankovic apparently having a commitment to Michigan State, that there's going to be a void. Braden Gillespie is going to need a backup. So will the Steelheads lean on Johnson as their backup next season? So some questions starting to be answered as we make our way through the off season. So a lot to cover here on today's news update. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on any of these news items.